This Alabama company who stole $500,000 from working people. And all they had to do, no big deal. Keep operating, still a boss, you still have your company, you still have all these profits. Boss Watch is a segment that we do every single week where we take a look at what bosses were up to in the southern United States because, you're going to see mugshots all the time of normal working folks on the local news, but you don't see mugshots of bosses despite the fact that they commit more crimes than working people. So starting off right here in Alabama, federal investigators have recovered a staggering $530,000 in back wages and liquidated damages from a Montgomery home healthcare business that misclassified 67 employees as independent contractors and incurred overtime wage violations as a result. The U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division investigators found that Jennings Professional Services, an in-home day and overnight healthcare provider, paid the affected employees straight time rates for all hours worked, and by doing so, the employer denied the workers who care for sick and older adults their additional halftime rate for overtime hours over 40 in a work week. In addition, the employer failed to keep accurate pay records as required. In fiscal year 2022, the Wage and Hour Division concluded more than 1,100 investigations in healthcare industries alone. And these investigations recovered nearly $15 million in stolen wages for more than 22,000 workers. $15 million stolen in one industry. That's how criminal bosses are. We've got another thief in Alabama, but this one has a bit of a different ending. And this is from AL.com. A Huntsville man who is part owner of a Florida-based pharmacy was sentenced to more than 2 years in federal prison for his role in a $54 million bribery and kickback scheme that targeted the government health insurance program for current and retired military members and their families, the Justice Department said. James Wesley Moss, 60, of Huntsville, pleaded guilty to kickback and fraud conspiracy, among other charges. He was part owner of Florida Pharmacy Solutions, or FPS, which specialized in compound prescription drugs. Two others, part owner and sales manager David Byron Copeland, 55, of Tallahassee, Florida, and lead sales representative Michael Gordon of Fort Myers, Florida, engaged in what is known as test billing to develop the most expensive combination of compounded drugs to maximize their reimbursement from TRICARE. The three men and their accomplices targeted doctors who treated TRICARE beneficiaries and paid bribes and kickbacks to the physicians and salespeople to encourage the referral of prescriptions to FPS, the Justice Department said, citing court documents and evidence at trial. The bribes included lavish hunting trips and expenses and dinners. FPS employees also used blanket letters of authorization that allowed FPS to change prescription components to make them more profitable, the agency said. Moss paid Copeland and Gordon millions of dollars in kickbacks based on a percentage of the amount TRICARE reimbursed for the prescriptions, which provided an incentive to seek prescriptions for the most compounded drugs possible, such as pain and scar creams. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. Copeland facilitated the kickbacks through companies he set up to receive and funnel the payments, the Justice Department said, and the company billed TRICARE more than $54 billion with a B from late 2012 through mid-2015. Copeland received a 4-year, 3-month prison sentence for his role in the scheme, while Gordon was sentenced to 18 months in prison. And in April, co-defendant Edward Christopher White was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in prison after pleading guilty for his role in the scheme. This is another example of the fact that, look, if you steal from workers, that's a slap on the wrist, right? We just talked about this Alabama company who stole $500 $1 million from working people in our state, right here in Alabama, stole $500,000 from us. And all they had to do, just pay it back. Pay it back, no big deal. Keep operating. Still a boss. You still have your company. You still have all these profits. Just pay it back and no harm, no foul. But if you steal from, a corporation or the government, you better watch out because you're going to go to jail. Over in Texas, a U.S. Department of Labor workplace safety inspection at a prominent El Paso manufacturing company found that the employer willfully exposed workers to the risks of amputation and permanent hearing loss and violated dozens of federal safety and health regulations. Conducted under the department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration's National Emphasis Program on amputations in the manufacturing industries, the inspection at Dynamic Tool Company Incorporated identified 58 violations, including 2 willful safety violations and 1 willful health violation. OSHA issued the willful safety citations because the company did not have machine guards in place to protect workers from the potential for amputations and other injuries related to nip points, rotating parts, and flying chips and sparks. The agency issued a willful health citation for Dynamic Tools' failure to establish and maintain an audiometric testing program and make testing available to employees exposed to excessive noise. In addition to the willful violations, OSHA cited Dynamic Tool for the following serious violations. They did not install lockout-tagout systems to prevent machines from sudden startups or movement, and this has been really prevalent, almost so many times when we cover deaths in manufacturing industries. It's derivative of not having lockout-tagout systems or procedures in place. They also failed to train employees on energy control procedures. They did not store materials properly, and they allowed blocked passageways. They did not remove unsafe powered industrial trucks from service. They failed to enclose vertical or inclined belts and gears with required guards. They allowed serious electrical hazards related to flexible cords, junction boxes, and fitting to exist, and they did not develop and implement a noise monitoring program. OSHA assessed Dynamic Tool with about $600,000 in proposed penalties, and the company has 15 business days from receipt of those citations and penalties to comply, to request an informal conference with OSHA's area director to contest the findings before the Independent Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission. A couple of dishonorable mentions. In Owensboro, Kentucky, the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division found that Green River Health District terminated a healthcare worker after they exercised their right to use protected leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act. The terminated worker had worked at the company for several years prior to their taking FMLA. The department recovered $61,224 in back wages for the affected worker. And back here in Alabama, the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division investigators found that the Birmingham Indoor Adventure Park Urban Air in Birmingham, Alabama, allowed 36 minor-aged employees under 16 years old to work after 7 p.m. on a school night, after 9 p.m. in the summer, and more than 3 hours on school days, and more than 18 hours a week during a school week, all violations of the child labor provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act. And I just want to be clear, it's not saying they had 36 minor-aged employees, because that's not against the law. They had 36 minor-aged employees that they had violate the child labor provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act by working too much on a school night, by working past 7 p.m. on a school night, and working after 9 p.m. in the summer. Crazy. The division also found that the company stole wages from another employee. So the company was fined about $30,000 to address the child labor violations, and said that they owed $145 to one worker. So there you go. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.